Right, in this video I want to give you a little bit of an introduction to fight tactics, okay? Tactical application. Look, technique that we learn allows us to execute particular types of tactics. So the way we learn how to move, okay, footwork, pivoting, sidestepping, diagonal movement, body movement, slips, rolls, ducks, types of shots, uppercuts, hooks, angles, types of attacks, okay? All of that allows us to deploy tactics in a particular way, and it's about controlling the ring. So this is really about ring craft, ring generalship. Controlling the space within the boxing ring and ultimately controlling your opponent. It's about when to take ground, it's about when to hold ground, it's about when to give ground, okay? You think about range, where you are in relation to the opponent, and it takes into account the physical and technical capabilities and characteristics of your opponent in terms of how you deal with them, okay, in that particular environment. So what I'm going to do now is there's going to be 3 short videos that you're going to get now, and then I'll wrap things up at the end of it. But these videos basically cover about 10 different types of tactics to use in different situations. First video, but these, first video is about dealing with taller opponents. Second video is about dealing with shorter opponents. And the third video is about dealing with opponents who have an opposing stance. So if you're an orthodox boxer, it's about dealing with southpaw boxers, and vice versa. If you're southpaw, it's about dealing with orthodox boxers, okay? We'll go through these videos, have a look at them. They're only a couple of minutes each. It's about 5 or 6 minutes tops of content about tactics, and then I'll wrap things up for you at the end of this video. So let's have a look at what we've got. So quick advice when you're fighting a taller opponent, someone who has a greater reach than you. And generally you can think about 3 different types of approach. First off though, great boxing is great boxing, regardless upon the shape and size of your opponent. If you've got great boxing skills, you'll always find a way of getting on top and beating them. First strategy, close the ground. There are a number of ways to do this. The most simple way to close the ground is to lock the arms up in a double arm cover and just chase them in, get your head down low, bend the knees and close the ground really quickly. Get in there from out of range to close range really fast. It's kind of like smashing the front door down. Second way is to stand at long range and use lots of feints, because a reach advantage is only a reach advantage when they are able to key off and land the shots on you. If you can make them throw the shot, use blocks at long range, as soon as you've stepped in, they made that little step in with your long range straight shots, you've snapped their reach advantage off. And number 3, draw them in. A lot of the time, taller boxers really love the opponent to come onto them, to walk towards them. So why don't you make them go on their front foot? Back off, show feints, draw them forward. Make them be the aggressor, and then switch the offence and fire straight back in as fast as you can. That's 3 tips for dealing with taller opponents. 3 ways to deal with an opponent who's shorter than you. An opponent who's trying to close the ground, get up close, and basically drag you into a fight and smash you into pieces. It's really all about the first tactic, the first strategy is about maintaining range, and we can show that on the heavy bag. The bag comes towards me, I use my feet to maintain range all the time, okay? I never let that happen. Okay? Number 1, maintain range. Number 2, vary the angles of the shots. Okay? A shorter opponent may try and make advantage of their height by dropping down further. So vary the angles of the shots as they're on the way in. Number 3, use the pivot to deflect their attack. let them go whistling past you. Even better, use the hook as you pivot to give them a clip around the side of the head and send them off. When you get up close, don't get involved in a wrestling match. 1, 2, 3, 4 and away. Back to long range. Okay? Some simple tactics for dealing with a shorter opponent. Dealing with an opponent who has an opposing stance. So whether you are an orthodox boxer and you meet a southpaw boxer, or whether you're a southpaw boxer meeting an orthodox boxer, the tactics you apply, the tactics that both apply, should be broadly the same, okay? The difference is that the southpaw boxer is more experienced at using them because they meet more orthodox boxers than the other way around. Only 1 in 9 people are left-handed, therefore only 1 in 9 boxers are southpaws, okay? Bit of a weird thing here. I could talk for an hour on the tactics in these circumstances. However, I'm just going to keep one thing very brief, okay? Here's our opponent, okay? He's an invisible man. He's very difficult to hit, okay? Key thing about when you meet someone with an opposing stance is dominating the safe ground to the left, to my left, or to my opponent's right, okay? So what I need to make sure I do is get my foot outside their foot. So it becomes a battle of the lead hands. Lots of lead hand blocks, lots of lead hand jabs, okay? And then step out to the side and fire your shot to there, okay? You find also that you spend a lot of time stepping on each other's toes. That's actually against the rules. If you step on an opponent's foot, the referee will warn you, okay? So try and ensure that you keep out to the side. Dominate the ground to the left. Pivots and lead hand hooks are fantastic, okay? But obviously, if you're going to go that way, you're walking into big backhands. So if you're going to go across, do what Pacquiao kind of does and move across slightly that way. That's a 90-second boxing tip. And the most simple thing I can tell you about southpaw versus orthodox. So make sense? 3 sets of situations. So against a taller opponent, close the ground, okay, rush forward, under control, hands high, low, long range trigger, okay, do what they don't expect you to do. Beat them at long range because they have the height advantage. They may think they have the reach advantage, but you can counteract that reach advantage. Or draw them in. Make them come forward. Put them on what they are not used to doing. Okay, make them, take them out of their comfort zone. Shorter opponents then, same thing. Maintain the range between both of you. You're trying to maximise your reach advantage. Angled shots, because that type of opponent is likely to be coming in and rush, you know, using their body movements in different ways. So you're using angled shots because you've got more chance of landing angled shots, long range angled shots, against a moving target. Using the physical characteristics of your opponent in your strategy. Okay? Pivoting, deflecting the attack of the shorter opponent, stronger opponent. Often you have to take the view, just like drawing a taller opponent forward is about taking them out of their comfort zone, making them do stuff that they're not accustomed to doing. You sometimes have to push back a shorter opponent, put them on their back foot. When I say push back, I don't mean push back like that, because that's a foul. I mean push back with shots. Drive them forward, push them back. Take them out of their comfort zone. That might be another tactic for the shorter opponent. And southpaw versus orthodox. You use diagonal foot movements to get your foot outside the lead foot of the opponent, taking you into the safe zone and allowing you to bring your own backhand shots in. Just the same. So when I'm against a southpaw, I might step across with a parry, front foot outside, putting myself in a perfect position to deliver strong hooks. So there's about 10 tactics for you to think about, for you to think about how you can employ in sparring, in a boxing situation. Think about this stuff. It's a chess game in many ways. Okay? Have a set of tactics, and you know, if you've got a good trainer, a good cornerman, they'll certainly help you with this stuff, and execute them. Okay? That is your intro to fight tactics, ring craft, controlling the ring, controlling the space, and ultimately controlling your opponent.